3-day weekend here in the States. It was 4th of July. And let's see, we did our webinar on Friday. And then from there, it was like ghost. It just disappeared. And so that was pretty cool. We've had some nice warm weather. Let's see if I can hear the sound. Am I hearing sound here? Double check I have the right things plugged in. This is plugged in, right? Oh no, you know what? I had the wrong one plugged in. Let's try that. Had the wrong thing plugged in. Let's see if there we go. So now we should be there we go. The wrong thing, the wrong color was plugged in. I plugged green in. Anyway, it was a 3-day weekend for us in the States here, and it really started like Thursday afternoon. It got quiet. Markets tried to get just sideways. The euro and so forth. When you looked at the currency pairs, they were really starting to become dogged, as you can see right here. There's a daily chart on J4X. You can see right there where it's just sideways. And then we put out the spreadsheet labeled the 6th on Friday, because we really don't pay attention to the numbers more than the fact that they stayed in buys. That's fine. That makes it a little bit nicer. So in other words, instead of the euro being in, let's show you right here. The what is it? Awful hard to see right there. Let's widen that thing out. Oh, what's that? That's the AUD. Okay. I was looking at the dollar AUD. Boy, is that really flatlined also. But there's the euro right there. And as you can see, it's a good 4 full days in the buy with the volatility day. Plus telling us not to be short. Well, we weren't short because it's isn't it a weekly buy for like 5 or 6 weeks? Let's see, 7 weeks. So we're in a weekly buy now for a full 7 weeks in this product. I don't think it's taken off too far. I mean, you can count back the bars. There's 5 days in a week, basically. 5 times 7 is 35. You would basically think from here 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's 5, and then you need 6 more of those 5s, and there's another 5. That's 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's 15. And there is 20. And so somewhere down here, we went into the weekly. Well, there's it is right there. The line right there is representing the weekly buy. So you can tell, if you can see that this is lower here than here, then obviously Doc's math is working right. There you go. All right, you can see that. So, and then you can see the sideways action that we've been going into. And I'm not totally convinced that we have any real, there's a lot of conviction here, a lot of strength. I don't think there is. I think this is just summertime blues now for the next 3 or 4 weeks. But for traders, you can pick your spots. Opportunities will come around, and you never know. We've seen in dead summers where out of nowhere markets take off like a moonshot for a day or two. Everybody gets excited, thinks we got action, and then we go back into the doldrums again. So that's pretty much probably what we should be prepared for. All right. And as you can see, like I said right there, 3 days in the daily buy. This is going on its 4th now today, and looking extremely happy about it, isn't it? You can see J4X is just ripping up. It's cutting through the, look at the lag of the slow stochastic right there is still trying to catch up. And as you can see here, it has even chased after the fast stochastic, which is the solid line, has chased after the rate of change. And it's kind of interesting. You can see all this here, the sideways action, the rate of change was lifting pretty aggressively, which is interesting in its own right. And then you can see now that the fast stochastic has launched itself even further. So, and there's the action altogether. Pretty much been in a weekly buy since back in here. Actually, this is pretty cool. When you look at the J4X, it says 28 weeks right there. And so, and we know that 7 weeks in a buy right here, like that on the spreadsheet. So you just go back to the 20th week, somewhere around in here. So that's kind of neat. Never really thought about looking at it that way. All right, now let's drift over to cable. Let's see what the cable's doing here. I did see it firm just like the euro. And you can see there. It's lifting up, trying to take out these tops in here. Same situation. And that has been in a buy just 1 week less, 6 weeks, but also 3 days in a buy. And markets are kind of just slowly just maneuvering, no real excitement. We can take a quick look at the stock market. Let's do that. Just a real quick look. You can see it's firm. This is my intraday indicator where I trade options off of. I'm not sure why they're hidden like that. Where is the other one? 17's in there somewhere. These are 3 different gas lines we use on this. And it went into a sell about an hour and a half ago. And it's already moved back into the buy. I guess that would be putting it right in the buy right there. But that just shows you the lack of excitement. And it's just, there's just nothing there. I am, like I said, I am convinced that there's going to be, they're gonna keep us busy. They're gonna bored us to death in a sense. Keep us busy by being bored. I guess that's the best way to describe it. All right. If anybody sees anything they would like to look at, please shout it out. Take me off my course. I'd rather be taken off my course. All right. Now let's jump over to the Turkish lira. Look at that. First 5 minutes, we're already heading for number 3 of the products. It's that slow today. 31 weeks in a buy. Let's take a look at it here. There it goes there. 31 weeks in a buy. Do we see that? There's 30. So way back in here. There's 16 weeks. Can we move that over? Yes. So, and that's kind of curious. Oh, I see. It's counting the whole year. That's what that's doing. So 52. It's been in a buy since all the way down in here somewhere. And you can see. Let's see how it looks over here. Let's minimize that. Get back to that. Excuse me. So, no virus. Don't worry. No virus. No virus. I'm chewing on peanuts. Oh no! Chewing on peanuts and sunflower seeds simultaneously. And an antitoxin. What is that? Antioxidant. Antioxidant is I'm eating cranberries too with it. So, all right. Now there's Turkish lira. It just, like I said, it's been going up and away. We did go into this correction thing, but it just didn't give it enough gas to get into a weekly sell. You can see what's going on there. Very strange, when you really think about what we're looking at there. It's not like Turkey has quieted down on any of the things they're doing. I understand they're throwing rockets at each other in northern Syria and mercenaries in Libya and aiming their guns at other NATO ships in the Mediterranean like France. So, you would think that would be freaking everything out. Sometimes it just shows you how much geopolitics doesn't have an influence. Or something's coming so big that they choose not to do anything at all at this point. I don't know which one it is. I'm totally confused, but we'll just follow the math. That's the whole key to this whole thing, is follow the quant math. Go with our Chicago quant, and it keeps you safe. Stay with the J4X and look at the 2 different moving stochastics and the rate of change. And it'll give you some safety and some clarity. Nice little bounce there, isn't it? Look at that. Lower highs. Interesting. All right, now let's see. What else shall we look at? We can go look at Canadian, and I bet Canadian's doing the same thing as everybody else here, just moving along in the same direction. Follow-throughs. And you can see that there. There's Canadian against the dollar. Not exciting. It's we call that lackadaisical. But look at that. The weekly's trying to lift itself into the buy. That's interesting. So, maybe something's going on. Last time it did that, though, look at that. We were in the sell. We went to a buy right here. And let's throw that in there. We went into the buy there. You can see that the product basically climbed and then puked just in 1 week. So it tried to climb and then it puked. So let's fix the chart a little bit more, because it's the needs to be put on where is it at? Default. That's what it is, and it'll straighten it out. There we go. So that's where you can see there. So we went into a weekly sell here. It kind of didn't go anywhere. And then went into a weekly buy, didn't go anywhere. And went back into the weekly sell. And this time, the weekly sell definitely gave it some juice. And you can see now we're just doing it again here. But again, this is, yeah, hey, Robin. Happy belated birthday again. Happy birthday to you. Yeah. So, 29 for your 41st anniversary of it. So you're 29 on your 41st anniversary of 29. There you go. All right. So you can see there, the Canadian's just kind of drifting along too. And there's not much conviction going on there. Interesting. Yes, indeed. It's a quiet day. Maybe we should jump over to silver, because it was your birthday. You like looking at silver. Let's look at silver. Silverado. Do, 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 do. There's Nat Gas, and there is Silverado. Same thing there. It's kind of... Oh, let me fix that one, too. It needs to go into the default. Oh, it isn't default. I guess it's the holiday. It's making it look gappy-ish. Yeah, that's what it is. The 3rd. They didn't trade it at all electronically on Friday. Some products were not traded electronically on Friday. The stock indices were up until like end of the... I guess it was the London market, the Swiss market. So in other words, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. I guess it's like 3 o'clock London time, 3:30 London time. I guess it is. Is that what it is? 4 hours? 5 hours. I think it's 5 hours. So 4:30 London time, and then then we stopped trading our electric market, and I think our spot prices were being traded because they always are traded. But after that, a lot of the futures were not being traded. I saw the 10-year bond not being traded. That's probably because of the buttonwood tree or something like that. I guess that would be the reason. That's what George Washington did. That's what the 4th of July is all about, the revolution. And George Washington, after they won it all, they George Washington went down to, I guess it was in New York, and they were trying to trade bonds, I guess, because the government had offered bonds to the soldiers. So they planted a buttonwood tree, or it was a buttonwood tree there, I guess it was, and they started trading bonds. So they built the New York Exchange, and bonds were considered an equity. So it was a New York stock equity exchange. And it was a bond exchange for many decades. And as time went on, they started trading stocks and bonds. And stocks started to become more dominant. It was a lower caliber asset. But they started trading them there. And so the bond market, I don't think, opens at all. And the stock market doesn't open. There's no trades on the electronic stock market either. So that was the probably why we didn't see bond futures on Friday. They were probably like compliments to George Washington. Good old George. All right. He didn't become president of the United States until like 16 years after the Revolution. After the signing of the Declaration of Independence. 16 years. He was our first president, but it took 16 years to get that going, figured out and all. Set up the system. So, George was that popular after the war, I guess, that when they finally did figure out how to have a presidency and a House of Representatives and a Senate, they that was 16 years later. He became president in 1792. At that point, the capital was in Philadelphia. They've built a constitutional center on top of the old White House. But Independence Hall is still there where they wrote the Declaration. Anyway, that is some Americana. All right. Oh, what do we got here? So silver. So I don't see anything particularly going on. It does. The only, I guess. Oh, I do see something right here. Look at that. They're trying to jump back into that weekly buy. We talked about this for the last couple of weeks. We really thought after this weekly buy, there'd be one more weekly sell and then maybe a run. Robin sees some positive patterns going on there. So, I keep on waiting for the quants to confirm it all. And I think they're gonna, we said a couple of weeks ago, probably gonna see it go into a weekly sell. And then, out of nowhere, excuse me, out of nowhere, we'll go into a weekly buy and then might be some good spiking going on. No virus. Just eating peanuts and sunflower seeds. Yeah. Excuse me. That one went the wrong way. Okay, so yeah, that's that's what we're looking for in the silver itself. We're looking for it to kind of, find a way to get back into the buy and maybe give us a whole nother leg like this. Like this thing went from. Now this is really crazy to begin with. Let's put it on J4X to show you the real dynamic of it all. Right there. Oh, you see some firmness there too. And so you had this insanity during the virus scare, and they drove it down into the 11s. 1171, I think Dukascopy has it as the low. That's really weird, when you really think about it. They're supposed to be flight to safety products, where to hide, and they take silver and gold down during the pandemic, and especially silver. And then they finally dig in. You got to figure that they trapped a lot of shorts down there. God knows who in their right mind was selling that stuff. I mean, down there. I don't know. None of that makes any sense to me. But it just shows you how much the central banks use these products to offset their currency pairs, which kind of gives us a clear warning that just because you think you should be invested in the metal on a short-term basis, it can get whipped by the central banks because they're using it as a surrogate to the dollar. And so you have to be more of a long-term investor in this product. In other words, buy all kinds of weakness at major points of weakness. That's the trick, is to try to identify those major points. And of course, that's what we did. We saw that was absurd down there in the 11s. And you can see that's where we went into the buy. What is that? That is 15 and change. And let's just squeeze this a little bit more. Maybe I'm doing the wrong one. There it is. Yeah, so look at that. We were in a weekly sell from this, which we thought was crazy at the time. And then, it came off of that 11 and change to 12 to get into the 14s within like 3 days. 4 days? 4 days, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 days. And so it moved $2. And then the following week, we closed in a weekly buy number here in the low, or I guess mid 14s. Yeah. And then we picked up $4 more. Almost 5, I think. It went up to, it didn't get to 19 yet. And so, we're thinking that they're going to give it a little sell here, which they did and took it nowhere. It's trying to get into the weekly buy already and is over the weekly buy number. And so you can see this action here I'm figuring at this distance at least $4 from this base in here, and that would probably put it in the 22s. Um, somehow or another, you got to figure that if they get into the 22s, they may go after something bigger. Now let's go to J4X and find that bigger. You kind of figure that they're going to do something like this, take out some of this top in here, especially when they get through the 22s. And I think that's going to be a reverse action of. Let's see, let's do it this way. Let's go to a weekly chart. You figure that there must be someone down in those 12s and 13s that say, I need this stuff. And so you can see the base here is the 26 area, 25 to 26, and you would assume that maybe it's going to go, maybe that's going to be the real ceiling for a long while. I mean, the ceiling's been well underneath that. I mean, it keeps on going to, what's that right there? That's, let's see, what are you? Why can't I see what you are? Yeah, that's 25. So you got to assume that, just from looking at highs and lows, that there's a good shot that this thing goes and finds a range between the 22s and the 25s. That's $3, and that's a lot, for this particular product. But still, it says something like that wants to happen. It's screaming it. Yeah, I mean, that's where it comes down to at this point. I mean, I don't really see anything else going on here. So, I mean, this is a nice little V bottom out of the crazy. And I'm just assuming they're going to take out this 20. I'll tell you, this 20 area has been tenacious for half a decade. That's amazing, since like 2014, 2015. I mean, it's just been, it's been very tough to get through the 20s. Barely ever visiting it. And you can see here on this one here, we got up to, let's widen that out. I think we got up to the 22 area. And so these 20s are really hard for silver. It's really hard up there. But I think it's going to break that range. I think it's going to get through the 20 and get into the 22s. And that's the bigger question. Does this is we used to call it on the floor, it's a MOMO. Momentum. Moves momentum. So, big Momo could get going. Big momentum. Major momentum. Momo. And that wouldn't surprise me any. And you got to figure that any central bank that was out there pushing this stuff out into the 12s and the 13s is probably saying, we need to pick up some inventory. We'll try to whittle that off. And that's probably why we're seeing a lot of firmness. When we go back to the daily chart here on J4X. Right, there it is. And you can see, what's that, 4 weeks now. 5 weeks. You could actually say 5 weeks. It's used the 17 as a big support area. And it's got that triangle thing going on. That's what Robin spotted, is the triangle. And it's a sloping up triangle too. It doesn't want to go down. Again, like I said, traders, the key to this whole thing is that it is a surrogate for the dollar. And because it's a surrogate for the dollar, there are going to be some short-term whips. And in this product, $3 and $4 can be a whip. And the fact that they couldn't send it down this last sell more than a half a buck or something like that in the weekly. Let's see if we can widen this out. Did they even send this down? It really doesn't look like it. I mean, they took it from, they really didn't. I mean, this thing was in, actually, when you really look at this week, where it went into the weekly sell was like in the 18s, I think it was, like 1830 something. And the best it could do is, was that like a Monday? Is that a Monday there? 23, 22, 24, is that? It must be a Friday. That was a Friday. And so the best they could do that day is bring it down to 1768. By the end of the day, they were already back into the 18s. This weekly sell has been a bust. Thank goodness the daily buys have kept kept you out of the crazy. Matter of fact, when you look on our dun, 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 the fact check sheet right here, you can see silver um, was on some type of tear for a while. I thought it was like 9 or 10 days at one point. But you can see right there alone, you went into the daily buy. There was the volatility buy. The next day closed in the buy, and has only gone up in value. So the weekly sell, you couldn't even use the weekly sell. You couldn't get short in it because we're in daily buys. So that there alone shows us that there's a lot of accumulation going on in here. Someone's accumulating this stuff. And Robin was looking at that triangle, and he kept on saying to me, "Look at that triangle, like back in here." He's like, "That's a bullish triangle. This is a bullish triangle." And I said, "Oh, that's a perfect reason for it to go into a weekly sell for a week or so, and then take off." So, it's doing it. It's trying. And as you can see right there, we are at the highs of the day, aren't we? Let's take a look at it on J4X. J4X can be much more clearer. Yeah, so we're really flirting with the highs of the day. Imagine when this white line breaks out again and starts really taking off. And getting through the dashed line. That'll be interesting. All right. Well, we're here. We might as well go visit gold. Let's take a look at gold. Not there. Right there. Someone's having all the fun. How about that? Okay. All right. There's gold. Let's see what the contango looks like in that, too. Maybe what we'll see is some strength in silver, and gold will chill. So there's gold trading at, put my glasses on again, at 17, what is that, 1794. And spot is trading at 1783, so it's an $11 contango. With the way interest rates and so forth are, it should be at parity right now. And this is August gold. So it's getting ready to expire. So we're getting ready probably to move to the next contract. Matter of fact, let me just double check. Make sure they haven't moved it to the new contract. Let's see where you are. Bang, 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 right there. Yep, August is still the front month. But that's carrying an $11 premium on the futures to the cash. It's funny. Some weeks we come in here on a Monday and it's so chill that it's only carrying a $2 premium. But right now, let's see. If the futures is trading $11 higher, there must be desperation for the metal. Another bullish sign for silver, I guess. Let's see. What do we got going on here? Now, all right. So that's the metals. And as you can see also, gold's been in a weekly buy. That's line 6. So it's been in a weekly buy 4 weeks, going on a 5th now. But on the daily itself, it is, where's it at? There it is. 12 days. 12 days in a daily buy. Like I said, there must be somebody out there thinking they better pick up that silver that they've pitched. And I guess for the traders that like to trade the silver gold pairs trade, that could be very interesting. Could be another one. Now we did a matter of fact, Robin and I did a article. It's a short little article. Just a little quick blurb in another service where we post a chart every couple days. And we wrote in there, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, was it, Robin? Or 3 weeks ago, how silver was outperforming gold for the first time in a long while. That's because it fell down to 11, and now it's at 18. So I mean, that's a pretty tenacious move, or say 12. So I mean, it's almost. I mean, the fact that if it goes to 20, that's a 50% move From 12 to 20, it's even greater than a 50% move. $8? Wow. That's like a 73% move. And gold in the same time period, I guess it was like the low mid 16s. I'm not even sure. Let's see. This is gold here. So during that same crazy point, let's go find that crazy point again in silver. So in that same crazy point, what's that? That's a daily. And they took it down in March. So what's that? Like March 18th, 17th. And we go to gold. Gold. In the same time period. Gold was taken down to, oh, they did the same stupid things there too. It took it down into the 15s, high 14s. So gold has moved up to, so say 15, has picked up $300. So 1,500 to 1,800. So it's underperforming the silver action at this point. And that, like I said, that could be the real sign there telling us that something is coming. Money's probably trying to come back. You know, who knew? I mean, you got to figure that who has the ability to sell that stuff down? Central banks, right? So they're probably trying to get their inventory back. I mean, what entity, what fund would be liquidating gold and silver during a pandemic? Let's put it this way. Anybody who sold it, if they were selling it long, well, you would think that the market wouldn't leap up. But if they were selling it short, you would assume they would leap up. The market would leap up. And it's leaping up, that's for sure. So in other words, there was talk like there was some desperation. Some people needed money, and they sold the metals. I kind of doubt that. Somehow or another, I'd have to assume it's a combination. I would have to believe that the central banks, and you know what? That's another thing too. Since the central banks are very active participants in day-to-day trading, they could push the market price down on low volume, buy the gold from whoever was liquidating it, and then let it rise again, and try to accumulate, enough to balance out what they had to sell. That's a possibility. I mean, we don't exactly understand all the dynamics in the sense of, how, when, and where, but we have a general idea of what central banks are doing, and we understand that they're using the metals as a surrogate for the dollar. So, we can only guess and watch our quants. Can't really lean on the fundamentals. I mean, who out there in their right mind on a fundamental basis would be selling the daylights out of metals during a pandemic where the world is allegedly coming to an end? Not many. I mean, I can't imagine that incorporation. Yes, we're going to incorporate this precious metals fund. And when the world looks like it's coming to an end through a pandemic or a global disaster, we're going to liquidate our gold. Yeah. Yeah, who's going to invest in that one? So it has to be central banks or desperate funds that had assets in metals and needed the cash. I mean, they're the only two answers to that whole story. But one thing's for sure, it isn't an organized effort by metals funds to liquidate their assets in the middle of a disaster. I think every gold bug in the world would be going totally nuts at that point. So that can't be the fundamental that drove the market down. It has to be, dollar problems. In other words, dollars were in such demand they had to sell gold against it, because it was just everybody was buying it. So someone had to try to hedge their long dollars. I mean, that would be the only logic in my mind. So if anybody is saying right now, does he make any sense, or have a question about that, try say something, because maybe you can kind of aim me in a better direction. But right now, that's the only thing I can rationalize as a trader. All right, now let's drift over to let's see, we've done the metals. Let's take a look at might as well take a look at oil since we're there, and then we can slip back to the currencies where we left off at Canadian. Let's see. Earl. right there. Another one of those products showing some life in it. First of all, it's been in a weekly buy for a long time now. Long, long time. And you can go look at it on the fact check sheet. And that's number 5 right there. 9 weeks in a weekly buy and 4 days in a daily buy. Doesn't look like they didn't trade oil also on Friday. Oh wait a minute. Yeah, there was no trading in that either. No electronic market in that either. And so you can see, oh, this needs to be moved over one. Is that right? Yeah, there it is. So it's been holding up nicely. You can see the weekly is trying to lean over a little bit. We got these daily buys going on, and it's playing with that 40 range. Someone last week asked if, could it go to 35? I was like, oh yeah, sure, I could see it going to 35, but we have to be in a daily sell. We got to do something. We got one of our quants have to be aiming in that direction before we'll probably see it. But yeah, I could see oil falling back again, but not to like 20 or 15. I could see it falling back into the mid 30s. And in here you can see they're starting to really support the 37s. All right, and where we are, yeah, we've seen that on the fact check sheet, so we know what the week and the daily is. And so you can see here it's just kind of weakening a little bit at the moment. Nothing major. All right. So, there used to be a very long relationship between gold and oil. It's kind of dissipated, but there used to be a really strong relationship. Let's see. Probably because of the central banks. Now, let's drift ourselves back over to the metals. So what we'll do is, not the metals, the pairs trades. So let's take a look at NASCAD. Go to Dookie Day again and week. NASCAD. Right there. We'll take a look at the loonie trade. You see the strength there. You see in the weekly buy, matching up to the oil. That's the way usually the loonie works. This loonie pairs trade, New Zealand against Canadian, represents an oil trade, just like Euro AUD represents a stock market trade. And Japanese yen and British pound seem to be representing presidential cycle years, which is really wild. Very articulate with the presidential cycle years. That's definitely unique in its own right. All right, so there we go with the NASCAD. Now let's take a look at the presidential cycle. Let's see, what was the other one we're going to do? Oh yeah, XAU, Euro XAU. No, Euro AUD. That's what it is. Euro AUD. Look at the stock market cycle right there. You see it's been playing underneath, lots of selling, but it has flatlined. So it's probably telling us we're at the top end of the range of the stock market. And I think it was 54. It was saying something about. There's MHB. Hey, MHB, how you doing? Hope you had a good weekend. 54 was saying something about trees going to the sky and something going to the ocean bed. So, you're basically saying, sooner or later it's going to top out, or it can only go so low, it only can go so high. But in this case here, you can see that the pairs trade itself, that seems to be representative of the stock market in an inverse relationship, is kind of flatlining. But look at the weekly, and again, we are going into the danger zone. We should put like danger zone on the spreadsheet. Between mid-July and mid-August is danger zone. We should really put. I think I might do that. I might put that in there. Because that's where our statistical success rate drops, because of that 4-week period. That the weeklies and dailies sometimes can get real sloppy. And it's more of an intraday thing, but you can't really dodge it, because we have seen some major moves in the markets start to get going in August. in that time period, especially the second and third week of August. So you have to just grin and bear and try not to do anything foolish. Fantastic, cool. Yeah, we were having great weather. I mean, it's 90s in the high 90s for not Celsius, in Fahrenheit, which makes it like 40 some odd degrees in Celsius. So I mean, we're getting sunshine, blue skies. It's really nice weather. Summertime stuff. We had a very mild winter, so it's kind of nice that we're getting a really interesting, good old fashioned hot summer. All right. All right, so now that's the stock one. So let's drift over to the last one, just to see what the presidential cycle looks like. And that is GBPJPY. There it is down at the bottom. I see it. Activate. This is the presidential cycle. So it's lifting up. I think as it rises, it probably says to us that the Trumpy is going to do well. We're hearing all kinds of strange stories at this point. Third candidates are jumping out left and right. I mean, that is only going to hurt former Vice President Biden because Trump's got his base, and the base is not going anywhere. So if it's a three-way race or a four-way race, Trump is going to walk away with it. He's going to moonwalk his way into the presidency with no problem whatsoever. He can just do a little shuffle. That's it. It's not like a run. It's more like a shuffle. And I guess Giannis was saying this thing can really represent the success of the Trumper. So you can see that right there. I understand it. What was it? I saw this really interesting. It wasn't a poll. It was it was heavier than a poll. It was over the weekend. It was showed that. I know what it was. Trump has 87 million people watching his texts. Out of Twitter, and Joe Biden has 6 million. And someone said, "I think that's the real poll." Yeah, so that was like, oh yeah, you're probably right. That's a good way of looking at that. And so that's let's see. MHP says, any news about BOE negative interest rate? Really? Yeah, 87 million Trumpy has. And they're saying that the speech on, was it Friday night? They're saying the speech on Friday night was one of his greatest speeches ever in front of Mount Rushmore. I know one thing for sure. He's not going to lose his base. And that base is in the high 40s. So if there's a three-way race, his base is not going to walk away from him. And so that means that he'll get 40-some-odd% of the vote. And then they'll have to split 60% with 2 or 3 other candidates. And that's a death knell for the opposition. Especially if they confuse everybody. There's some mainstream media people that are talking about someone running, and there's what's the other one? Was it Elon Musk and what's it? Keenan West, the one that's married to the Kardashian, I guess, and he came out over the weekend saying he's thinking of running, and he was a Trump supporter. I mean, if he runs and steals the African American vote, holy moly, the Democrats will be lucky if they can get 130 people into the House of Representatives. It's gonna be crazy stuff. So let's see. I am not American, but I watch his tweets from 3 seconds. Oh, for 3 seconds. Yeah, I don't watch them at all. They talk about him so much. That's the only way he can communicate. He don't have a choice. The media's not going to cover it. They don't follow him at all. The U.S. media, only time they ever say anything about Trump is when they can say something negative. You have no idea what's going on in the White House. You have no idea what's going on policy wise from the U.S. media. They 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 only talk about negative things. They can talk about things for weeks that have no relevancy. They just say it over and over and over again, just to make sure no one reports what's really going on. So it's really hard for a lot of people to see what he's doing. But I was at this one Fourth of July party, and this psychologist was saying to me that he may lose some of his base, and I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because of the speech." And I said, "I heard the speech. I don't know why he would lose a base." Well, it said something about kneeling. I said, "I don't think that's got anything to do with anything." So, what it really comes down to is that they don't have any way knowing. I said, "Do you know that Trump has done in 3 years what Republicans have been asking for like 40 years?" And she said, "No." I said, "Well, he has." I said, "So the base is not going anywhere because he's done." And I said, the ones that are never Trumpers, who are Republican, wrote for decades about what they wanted to get done and wanted the Republicans to do, and Trump has done every one of them. And now they're never Trumpers. So that's really confusing because they've written, all their historical writings are for naught. And you can't refer back to them because it doesn't make any sense. They were so pro certain things. Oh, sure, I can take a look at that. U.S. NOK and U.S. Mexican. Let's see if we can find NOK. Is that the kroner? Is that what that is? Let's see if we can find it. There's the peso. Let's just take a look at that real quick. Oh, we're selling that down a little bit. That's a good thing for Mexico. It's been on a downwardly slope. That's pretty cool. Wow. Look at the white line. They're burying that thing. Let's see if we can find out with the Chicago quant. Let's see. I know we have it up here at times, so did I remove it? Dollar Mexican. Let's make a copy of one of these dollars. Dollar. Let's do the dollar ruble. We'll make a copy of the dollar ruble. Copy, and then we'll put Mexican peso in that one. Paste. And so now it'll be down at the bottom. See right there. So we'll go with that. Activate. And let's put the Mexican peso in there. USD. Yeah, there it is right there. Okay. And then I should try to add to, let's do this. We'll do this one also, USD. And there's the that's interesting, isn't it? The ruble. So the Mexican peso went into a buy there, but it's rolling over. You see it's in the cells here. It's been in a cell there from right there. So it goes into a buy and just about goes right into the sell afterwards. It went up for a couple days and then jumped into a sell. And so it's missed all that. It's not. It doesn't let you get long. Let's see. There was the. Let's see. There was a cell there, and then there's another cell there, and in between, it was a buy. So here, and here. I guess so. It goes sell. No, I see what it did. Like that. It goes sell, buy, sell. Right there. And then the buy. Short-lived again. There we go. Interesting. So there's the Mexican peso, Norway kroner. That's it. That's what I figured it was. Okay, that has become an active product, but a lot of those small pairs trades have. For a long time, it was in the stock. It's in the dollar index. There's 6 currencies in the dollar index. The euro, sterling. I'm labeling them in volume that they're so something like 50 some odd percent of the dollar index is the euro, and then something like 15% of it is the British pound, and then something like 12% of it is the Japanese yen, and then it's like Canadian and then Swiss franc are like 6% each. I guess it gets very close, and then the kroner is like the last one. It's like 4% or something like that. So let's do that. Let's try. Let's make another copy of this, paste, and let's see if we can put that in there. Format instrument. Let's take a look and see what the kroner looks like. USD. Add symbol. Cash. USD. I didn't do it. Let's try that one more time. USD. Look up. There it is right there. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing here. USD. And then, so that one went into a cell here, stayed in a cell, and it's just trying to go into the buy right there, right now. That's what's going on there. So it's been in the cell all the way down this whole ride there. It was in a buy for a ride up. Let's see if we can tighten this up a little bit. There we are. So it was in a buy. It's a real trending thing, isn't it? Look at it. Went into a buy like back in here, ran all the way up, and then went into the cell in here, and went down. So, interesting. All right. Oh, you're not seeing the whole thing. Sorry about that, traders. Let's do that one more time. So right there. So it was in a weekly buy. You didn't see the Mexican one either. So let's go back to the Mexican one too. Where's the Mexican one? There it is right there. Whereas the Mexican one was in and out a little bit. It was in a buy for all this move up in here. Then it went into this hesitation, confusion, and then finally, went into a sell, went into a buy, went into a sell, and then a great sell that gave it a good ride. And now we've been in a buy now for a couple of weeks, but right there you can see the daily sells. It's jumped into a daily sell for the last 4 days, right there. All right, now let's jump back over to J4X and let's take a look at the kroner in that. If I can find my mouse. Where are you, mouse? One of you mouses. I hate those misos to pieces. There it is. Let's see. Okay, so now let's find the kroner. I guess I got to type it in. So it's USD and let's see, / NOK. There it is. Oh, so it's trading up in the 90s. I kind of remember it was like the 6s or the 5s. And it was so tight. I used to follow all 6 of those doing something. We used to, when I first started doing the webinar, we used to do an algo war. And one of the algo wars we used to do was we used to do commodities. And yes, Norway kroner. We used to do commodities against currencies. Remember that? Anybody here from the old days that remembers that? So I used to have 2 indexes. I had a dollar index, and I had a commodities index of like 21 or 23 commodities or something like that. And I made up my own index, and we used to battle them, watch them bottom, and do all kinds of things. It was a very insightful indicator. Really an insightful indicator. Okay, so now Let's see, where are we at now? I guess we can. So we have an idea there. Oh, did I show you? I did show you, right? Let's just take a look at it here again. There it is. So no, that's the Mexican peso against the dollar. Let's go to the kroner against the dollar. This thing is a real trender. Look at that. And it goes into the buy way back here. I guess that's down in the low nines, you know. Is that the low nines? I guess it is. In the low nines, it goes into a buy. And then it runs all the way to 12. And then you can see it goes into a daily sells up in there. It falls down into like the 11s and 10s. And then you go into a sell here in close to the 10.5 area, and it drives itself down into the 9.25 area, something like that. Yeah, I guess that's like what it is. Now it's kind of been sideways, and you can see, so there's only a sell here, and a buy there, and a buy hidden way back there somewhere. Something like, I guess it'd be right there. And there's the buy. Nice. Very nice. Interesting. It's a real trender, isn't it? I remember it being a really slow product at one time. I mean, you know, to the point where everybody traded the arbitrage, 96% of the arbitrage, and left the 4% out. It was that slow because it was more trouble to buy it than it was to have it in the index itself. You know, it's in the basket. It was really weird. You're old, but not very much. And the MHB, we used to do that like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. We used to do this combination. We used to call it the algo war between commodities and currencies. It was a really... I should try to instigate that again and take a look at it. I might try to work on that. So that was fun. I was using my TradeStation for that. I have a TradeStation software. It hasn't been updated in a while. Maybe I need to update that and do that all over again. All right. Let's see. Where do we leave off here? So we didn't look at the Swiss yet. Let's just see what Swiss is doing right now. Dollar Swiss. Still down. And that's line 21. 21 right there. So 6 weeks in a sell, 3 days in a sell. You can see it's sinking. Looks like 4 days because it had a Friday trading. And then today they're smacking it down more, which makes it more expensive for people, you know, to buy. Makes the, you know, the thing much more valuable. Alrighty. I guess that's about it. So what do we call this today? What did we do today? We looked at what kind of title should we put to this? I guess we were just like looking at you know what, we could do silver. We really start off with silver on this, didn't we? So we'll call it silver and gold against the dollar. We'll look at it that way. That's an interesting headline, you know. Silver and gold against the dollar. It seems like a fair enough thing. Anybody think I'm stepping out of bounds on that? We talked about that for what? 30, 40 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. Let's see. Title. Silver and gold versus dollar. Because there's no doubt, there's no way in the world that any of those metals funds were saying, okay, the world's coming to an end, let's liquidate our assets. Yeah, that's one way to get put out of business. All right. Doc here from North America. We will catch you all on Tuesday. Have a fun and safe trading day. Be smart, be safe. So what do we do from here? Oh, I know I do. I sing my way out of this, don't I? So here we go. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all my